So in this week's Creative Confidence Catch Up, today I am going to be chatting with Emma. So Emma, would you like to tell us a bit about yourself?
Good morning. I'm Emma. I'm an art therapist and an artist based in Cheshire. And I work mainly with young people at the moment.
Love that. I love that. Well, at the moment, like when you got in touch with me on LinkedIn, when you told me about like what it is that you were doing and stuff, I was like, this is so exciting. And I think one of the things that kind of like sparked the conversation a bit more is when you started talking to me about clay and the
Yes.
way that because obviously I use that within my own work as well.
Yeah.
But what I want to do in this conversation today is kind of get to know a little bit more about you. And my first question today is, so has there been a moment in your life where you feel like you've lacked confidence? Because at the moment I feel like you're thriving in what you're doing, but yeah,
Yeah.
has there been that in the past?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was a really young mum. So I
Mhm.
was a mum at 17.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, really young. And it was amazing, but at times it was really difficult. There seemed to be a lot of barriers everywhere you'd go. It always felt like a bit of a fight. And I think that does kind of affect your sense of self-worth sometimes when you're really kind of pushing back against people a lot. And also, I think people's expectations for you when you are a young mum
Yeah, yeah.
are that I was hearing, oh, your life's over, you're just going to be a mum now. And that wasn't the case for me. But I think it took a lot of that kind of inner grit to be able to kind of break through some of those barriers.
That's really interesting you say that because I talk within my own content about societal expectations stuff a lot.
Mm.
So the fact that you were kind of put into this sort of position, and then it
Yeah,
was like, oh, how do I kind of like, even though I know myself maybe as to where I want to go, maybe at the time you didn't, but then when you've got
yeah,
other people sending all this negativity
exactly
towards you,
that.
it's easy to spiral, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it
yeah.
really, really is. Yeah.
So, during that time then, did you kind of feel like creativity was something that you were drawn to back then, to help you cope with the demands of
Absolutely.
all that?
Absolutely. So I was actually at art school when I found out I was pregnant with my
Oh,
eldest son. And I did take a step back from the course at that time, just to concentrate on, I launched a business instead, actually.
wow.
So I launched a minibus company with my then partner when I was 17. Wasn't old enough to drive. But I soon went back to college to do A levels instead, and so I explored all of that, all of that sense of identity as a young mum, my sense of self-worth. I remember I made a piece called The Scarlet Woman, which was about those projections from other people, about me being a young mum and the way that I felt people's projections, and so I explored all of that creatively. Yeah.
That's amazing. Like, so that's really interesting how, like, sometimes I feel like we do have these setbacks, whether it be lack of confidence, people telling us who we should be, what we should be.
Yeah.
But isn't it interesting how it's often those setbacks that can actually help us kind of spark
Activate something.
creativity in the world, isn't it? And
Yeah.
like, actually, I've got a message, I'm sharing that through
Yeah.
like arts and things like that. So
Yes.
what kind of got you into them working with young people? Was it the fact that you had been a young mum yourself, or how did this come about in terms of the community aspect?
Okay, that's really interesting. So after A levels, I went back to university. Well, I didn't go back to university. I went to university, and I was really interested in community arts, and I was studying in Liverpool Hope University, because they had excellent facilities for parents. They had a crash,
Oh,
which it
wow.
was is still so rare. And there was a project called Arts for Regeneration in Liverpool at that time in Speak. So Speak was an area that was developed after the war, I believe, and it ended up being quite a deprived area. And there was an organisation that was set up called Arts for Regeneration, which was empowering the community through arts. So it was improving the area through public art. It was providing workshops for parents and children to make connections and
Mhm.
be creative. So that was one of the projects that I studied. I
Nice.
didn't get involved. I think I went and volunteered a couple of times, but I studied from afar. But then there was another project called the Blackie, and it changed to the Black E later to be more culturally inclusive.
Hmm.
But it was called Great George's Community Cultural Centre, and I absolutely loved it there. They were all about arts for empowerment. They served all of the communities in Liverpool, but especially the Afro-Caribbean community. It really made it their home. They had a rich history of community arts going back to the 60s. And I got involved in doing their creative cultural games tours across the
Oh,
city.
nice.
Yeah, it's brilliant in different youth clubs and community centres with local people, with asylum seeking people. We used to go to the Caribbean Centre, so lots of different places that we visited doing these creative and cultural games. And what I really loved about the Blackie was that they really empowered young people such as myself at that time. They made me a duty manager, so I would have responsibility for the whole building at just the young age of around about 20. I'd be a key holder, I'd be in charge of health and safety, as well as getting involved in projects such as archiving all of their rich community archive that they had from all of the art projects had over the years.
Wow.
That was just such an incredible organisation that's still going, although I've not been back for a good few years now. I'd like to revisit.
No, that's really cool though. But that goes prove like once you have found like something that you're interested in, once the like a community around you believe in you, isn't it funny
Yeah,
how like your confidence starts to thrive even more because it's like actually I can do this, and that mindset kind of
absolutely.
starts to change, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think from a feminist perspective, organisations such as community arts organisations are so good because they will accommodate, working mums. I used to bring my child with me when we were going to some of those events. You couldn't do that in the corporate world,
Yeah.
but in those community grassroots organisations, that's where people can really thrive.
Yeah, and it makes it like you said, it is a bit more like accessible to people, etc. And like you've said, like in the corporate world, it's probably going to be really difficult. It's quite restricted. But when
Yeah.
we have these environments that are more like sort of accessible to people, it just makes
Mhm.
the community thrive much more, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
Brilliant.
one of the things I always remember about that place was when we first went there, they had a game that you'd play that would really encourage people to kind of take up space. And it
Mhm.
was where you would go and explore the building. It's such a big, imposing building. And you'd go and explore the building and go and count how many door handles you could find or how many plug sockets. And it
Mhm.
really meant that people felt comfortable to explore the building. They felt like they belonged. It like empowered them to
Yeah.
take up space in that building. And I thought that was just such a simple game, but so with such like a really important message behind it.
Yeah, that's really important. And when it comes to community, then what does it mean to you as a definition, I suppose?
Yeah, I think for me, community is about connection, isn't it? It's about that human interaction and connection. And I think as creatives that we can build bridges between people and organizations, that really does kind of make that sense of community um, kind of embed into our public spaces.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, in what ways then, with this, do you know when we started talking about clay, and because we've
Yeah.
had a real good conversation around clay
Yeah.
and pots and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, how have you been using clay then in your own projects, and how do you find it to work with?
Okay, I absolutely love clay. I think clay is one of the first materials that we're given, isn't it? When we're
Mhm.
kids, we might be outside digging mud pies
That's it.
and playing with clay from quite a young age, or at least when I was growing up in the 80s, we were outside a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Now I use clay in my art therapy practice a lot. And what I love about it is that in art therapy, we're always talking about the process of making. It's not
Yeah,
about the finished
love that.
item. It's that journey
Yeah.
that you go on with the material or your thought processes while you're exploring. And I love that clay can always be reformed until it's
Mm.
fired.
Yeah.
You can make something and remake it. It's brilliant for building resilience. I use a mini wheel. Let me show you. It's this little mini wheel from Small
Is
Ceramics.
it from small? But is it small?
Also,
Yeah, that's so
yeah,
cool because I keep like watching their videos and things, and they're
they're
so inspirational,
amazing.
aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. But this is great because I work out in the field in different environments.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'll be in schools, I'll be in community centres, I might be in people's homes, and this is something that I can take with me
Love
when
that.
I go. It's so small, and there's something about throwing a pot. It uses two hands, so you've got that bilateral movement,
Right. Okay.
which helps to relax you. It helps the brain to create new pathways, new neural pathways. So it's really good for healing. Um, yeah, so I absolutely love it. And also, if I'm working with young people who might be struggling with their dysregulation, for example, it's a brilliant way for them to practice resilience. Things are going to go wrong on the mini wheel,
Yeah,
you
wobbles
know.
and everything.
Yeah, we create lots of kind of like wobble pots,
Love
little things
that.
like
They're so
this.
cute.
They're so imperfect.
Love
Um,
it.
they go wrong at the last minute, but
Love
that's
it.
okay. In what we're doing, we create like these little tiny ones like this. We play with different firings and glazes and things like that. But it kind of teaches people that it's okay when things go wrong. I think a lot of time, we talk about people who have ADHD that get like 20,000 negative messages more than people who are neurotypical.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's a power in working with clay where it's okay for things to go wrong that kind of builds up people's resilience and just it kind of builds self-worth at the same time.
That's
You can
it.
go away with something that is really cute and unique. Uh,
It is. And
yeah,
in a way that like through the creativity, not only are they like exploring and having a play and having fun, I suppose,
yeah,
but they're also discovering more about themselves and what they are capable of achieving.
exactly. Yeah, and
Yeah.
some of the pots that they make are absolutely amazing.
Love it. It's just
They're not all wobble pots.
see, I just see pots and that my brain just goes Wah! Because like
Yeah,
so because I do like sessions at Wilder Wedgwood. So when I do
yeah,
stuff there and then I'm trying to do my own stuff as well, any little pots that I see, my brain goes in overdrive. I'm like, that's so cute. Oh, I like that
yeah.
glaze.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really enjoying these crackle glazes at the moment.
Oh,
Yeah.
crackle. Nice.
Yeah.
Have you got a favorite clay or a favorite glaze?
I can't remember what this one's called, but this is my favorite glaze at the moment. I don't know if you can see it. It's like lilac,
Yeah,
a crackle glaze over the top.
that's so
I just love the te how te tactile they are. I want to touch them. And when they're small, you're less scared to touch them. If it's a
uh-huh.
big pot, you're worried you might break it. But these little ones, they can become fiddle items and
Yeah, like fidget spinners. It's a bit the
yeah,
same, isn't it? Like
yeah,
some people have those, is it like the little pebbles with like the little sort of indent in them? And apparently
yeah,
they're meant to calm the nervous system and stuff.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool. Oh,
Sometimes make jewels, like jewelry. So we
mhm.
can make something that's very tactile
Oh, wow.
from pottery that you can spin, and just like fiddle with as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. No, it's been such a great conversation with you today. Like, it's always so nice to speak with someone who's got a fascination with clay as well, and to see like
Yeah.
the small ceramic wheels. I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's so epic. But in the meantime, my last question to you today is: do you have any words of wisdom, any words of encouragement that you'd like to leave the viewers off with today?
I think just keep making, keep being creative. I think giving yourself, even if it's just 10 minutes in a week,
Mm.
some time to be creative. It's just so good for the soul, I think, just to have that kind of mindful moment of creativity. And we get so busy, don't we, in life?
Yes.
If creativity is not our job or our passion, I think sometimes we can get so busy doing other things. But even if it's not making art, you can be creative in the garden, you can be creative in your cooking.
Mhm.
Just carving out that time for some quiet creative space. it's just going to make you feel better.
No, well, it's been such a pleasure speaking with you today, Emma. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure.